Hey, what's up guys, Fighter back with a video today, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the new Redmi Note 4 from Xiaomi. If you don't know about Xiaomi, then I'm guessing you've been in a cave for some time. Xiaomi is a Chinese smartphone company who make amazing smartphones, but for a very cheap price. The Redmi Note 4 is one of them. So let's start off with the build quality, since that is probably the most amazing thing at this price point. By the way, I'll announce the pricing at the end, keeping it a secret for now. This phone has an aluminum back with a 2.5D curved glass front. This is, again, not a Gorilla Glass front. It's just a, like a normal scratch-resistant 2.5D curved glass on the front. The sides are all metal, which is actually pretty good, as well as the buttons. And the back is kind of curved, which actually helps to grip and hold a phone that is this big. The phone weighs 165 grams, which is actually not too heavy for a full metal phone. So, technically speaking, if you look over all this, it is not, there are technically now, no compromises in the build quality section. So, now let's take a good look at that display. It's a 5.5-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 1920 by 1080, or Full HD, which gives it a pixel density of 401 pixels per inch. The bezels are not too big, and I like that. The side bezels are really tiny, and the top and bottom bezels could be smaller, but no complaints here. It has really vibrant colors for an IPS display, but again, no, this is not oversaturated like an AMOLED display at all. It's just really good if you compare it to something like a normal IPS display. And also, it gets pretty bright, so, no sunlight readability issues. And I would say overall no complaints on the display side. I'll give it like an 8 out of 10. My bottom line would be to say that this is just a big, bright, and a pretty beautiful display. Now let's talk about performance. And it's really good. And, okay, fine. First things first. This is the part where I'm going to throw a bunch of numbers and letters in your face. I mean, specifications. So this phone comes with a Snapdragon 625 or MediaTek Helio X20 with clock speeds of 2 GHz and 2.1 GHz respectively, depending on your region. The Snapdragon 625 version has 8 cores, while the Helio X20 has 10 cores. Yep, you heard that right, 10 cores. The Snapdragon version has an Adreno 506 GPU, while the MediaTek version has a Mali T880 MP4. If you pick the 2GB version, you can get the phone in 16GB of storage. If you pick the 3GB version, you can get it in 32GB storage. Now, here's the twist. I want you guys to listen to this attentively, okay? If you want to know about this phone, you gotta listen to this attentively. I don't like this kind of crap. This is what Xiaomi did. So, the 64GB MediaTek version comes with 3GB of RAM, while the 64GB Snapdragon version comes with 4GB of RAM, okay? So, technically speaking, the Chinese version, the MediaTek version, comes with 64GB of storage when picked up in the 3GB version. And if you pick up the Indian version, because Xiaomi makes phones in 2 countries only, India and China, so if you pick the Indian version, the Snapdragon 625 version, it comes with 4GB of RAM when you pick the 64GB option. And if you want, I can actually, I'm actually gonna put all this and the pricing down in the description, because every single storage and RAM point has its own price point, so it's going to be pretty confusing. So just for your convenience, I'm going to put all this in the description below. And technically speaking, I have the Chinese version, which is the MediaTek version, and performance is great. I haven't seen any stuttering anywhere, and I just loved using this phone. It is really impressive for the price, to be honest. Games ran smooth. Benchmarks came out with fantastic scores for the price. Heck, if you actually look at my benchmark video, it even beat the Snapdragon version of the Galaxy S7 in single core when running Geekbench 4. I did not expect this at all. It's really mind-blowing. Okay, maybe not in my video. I don't think I showed this in my video. But, yeah, if you do the benchmark yourself, it actually does beat the Galaxy S7 in single core in Geekbench 4. And just take my word, this phone is not even close to disappointing in terms of performance. Now, let's talk just a teeny bit about storage. As I mentioned above, the phone comes in 16, 32, and 64GB of storage, which is expandable up to 256GB. And this phone is also hybrid SIM technically. The SIM slot has 2 holes in it. Now, one hole is for a SIM card, and the other hole is like a dual slot kind of. It's called hybrid SIM. So what this is, if you use 2 SIM cards, if you want to use 2 SIM cards at once, then it won't give you the option to use a micro SD. And if you are using like a single SIM card, then you can actually, if you want, you can use the other slot for a micro SD slot. This is like called hybrid SIM, and it's apparently, I've seen quite a few phones that have this. So, you know, either you go the 2 SIM way, or you go 1 SIM, 1 micro SD way. Up to you. So that's all about all that stuff. So now let's talk about the camera. This is actually the second most exciting part of a review for me. And this is also why it's fun to make. So this phone comes with a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel front camera. First and foremost, unfortunately, I don't have any camera samples for this phone. Sorry for any inconvenience I may have caused. The 13 megapixel rear camera has an aperture of f2.0 with face detection autofocus, which also means focusing is, at least most of the time, it's pretty accurate, and it's also pretty fast compared to phones with like normal autofocus system. And it has a 2-tone dual LED flash in the back, which actually allows it to reproduce colors for photos in a natural way. And, you know, it just gives like a natural color to the, like a bit of a warmer effect to the photo. Like 2-tone means 2 LEDs in one way. So the top part is white, the bottom part is like a bit of a warmer one. So it's like, you know, normal bright and warmth baked into one single like flashed thing. So this actually has an issue, and this I actually found when I was taking a close picture. So what happens is, if you're like taking pictures of something and you want to go really close, like super close into the subject, and take a photo with the flash enabled, I don't know what this is. It could be it probably can be fixed with a software update, but I don't know. What happens is, since it's like 2-tone, as I said, white and warmth, like an orangey tint, so sometimes what happens is the picture ends up looking totally unnatural. It ends up looking like orangish, and everything, the full photo just becomes like a bit on the orangey side. So that's a bit of a weird thing, so I hope Xiaomi's gonna fix that with a software update. And yeah, I believe they could fix it with the MIUI 9 update. This phone that I have actually runs MIUI 8, which is Android 6.0, and the MIUI 9 is supposed to come with Android 7.0, which is technically what we're expecting next, you know, the next update. So what I would say is just avoid using the flash when taking close-up images. It records, let's just talk about the video. It records 1080p video, full HD, at 30 frames a second, and if you want slow motion, it can also do slow motion, which is pretty cool. It records slow motion at 720p in 120 frames a second. So there's not the 240 FPS slow motion, but you still have slow motion, which is still just okay. And one thing is that there's like a drawback here, and there's no optical or even software stabilization. So, you know, if you're not stable enough with your hand, if you don't count on if your hand's not stable, you might just end up with some super, shaky and janky looking video. So just keep your, be careful about that. So, but overall, let's just talk about it. But, videos and photos, even without the stabilization, actually look pretty good. There are no complaints here. The photos look pretty nice with pretty good colors. I hope I have some samples to show you guys. To be honest, honestly, for the price, it's really good. And let's talk about the front camera now. It's a great front camera. Selfies look great, and video calls, using some sort of online IM, or as they say, instant messaging app, it looks pretty good too. And the camera app Xiaomi has provided has a feature, and this is kind of embarrassing for some people. I don't like it. It has a weird feature that guesses your gender and age when you're looking at yourself or, showing your face to the camera. It's inaccurate most of the time, and when I show it my face, it says that I'm a male, obviously, but I look as if I'm 23 years old, according to the camera. Even though that's a 10-year-old boost, because I'm just 13 here. And it actually also has a beauty mode for people who want some, I would say software beautiness. But obviously it's not for me. I'm fine with just how I look. I'm not the best selfie guy out there, but I'm fine with how I look normally. I don't need any stabilization or, like any beauty mode. So again, it's just both the cameras I would say are pretty good overall. No complaints here. I give the camera like an 8 out of 10. Hard to complain for the price. Now let's talk about battery life. Now this has a pretty beefy 4100 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery. And to be honest, some people could be like, yo, people with like, phones like a Zenfone Max, the Asus Zenfone Max of like a 5000 milliamps, probably gonna be like, what? My phone has better battery. But to be honest, surprisingly, sorry, for the price, it actually has pretty good battery. This phone with like, moderate use, it lasts me around a day and a half. But, if you're like a heavy user and, think of yourself as a heavy user, or even if you do gaming, then it lasts technically 1 day. And it's actually fair in a way if you think about it. If you pick something like the Galaxy Note 5, not the Note 7 because it's dead. So if you pick like a Note 5, it'll actually have a hard time lasting you 1 day. One of my cousins actually has a Galaxy Note 5, and he says it gives him like around 4.5 hours of screen on time, which is like almost half a day. And he says he has to like charge it 2 times a day. So that is not good. I don't know about other users, but he's kind of like a moderate to heavy user, and doesn't last him 1 day. So that's the thing. But there's like a reason for that, because the Galaxy Note 5 actually has, it's the same, almost the same size. The Note 4, as I said, has a 5-inch. The Redmi Note 4, has a 5.5-inch, while the Note 5 has a 5.7-inch display. But the thing is, the Note 5 has more resolution. It's got like a Quad HD 1440p display. But this one has the same size almost, but in this case it's less resolution, 1080p. And, it's not a drawback by any means. It still looks freaking good with 1080p. And, I would say battery life gets like, definitely a 9 out of 10, because I'm just impressed with what I'm getting. Because, most phones, if you look at this, most phones with like bigger screens, like 5.5 to like 6-inch screens, can like with like minimum to moderate use mostly give you like hardly 1 day of usage. I used my mom's Note 3 for a day when I got it, I remember, and it was like really struggling. Yeah, it's a 5.7-inch 1080p, but, the battery's smaller. So, that thing struggled quite a bit to last me 1 day. Now let's talk about the software, as I just talked briefly a few minutes ago. Out of the box, this thing comes with Android 6.0 Marshmallow and runs Xiaomi's MIUI 8. A lot of people have, it's actually, let me spell it out to you. It's MIUI, okay? No space in the middle, fully like, joined together. A lot of people actually call it my UI, but it's, Xiaomi Redmi. So technically it's MIUI 8, I believe. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it most likely is MIUI, because that makes more sense. Otherwise, it could have been Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. Doesn't make sense. So, the one I have here has actually been updated to MIUI 8.4.1, which means Android 6.0.1. And, there's one thing I don't like about the UI. It doesn't have like an app drawer, because I'm just so used to an app drawer. I was not a big fan of that, but but still pretty good. It's like, it's fully skinned, and a lot of people, when actually they're gonna look at the phone, they're gonna be like, oh my goodness, this phone's gonna be slow, because it's got a heavy skin on top. But to be honest, no. Samsung's TouchWiz looks a lot better than this, but surprisingly that thing's a lot more heavier, and it's just slow. But MIUI, I have to say, Xiaomi has really optimized this thing. It's great, it looks really heavy too, but surprisingly, it doesn't look like the worst thing ever, but it's fine, and I would still say that this is great. It runs pretty fast. I haven't noticed any like abrupt slowdowns. The phone doesn't heat up too much either. It's good. So, let's talk about future updates. Android 7.0 is coming on the way. Apparently, it's planned by Xiaomi's, according to Xiaomi's announcement. Android 7.0 with MIUI 9 is probably on the way, and Xiaomi has confirmed that. Just keep that in mind. So, if you're buying this phone now, don't be disappointed, because you're going to get the latest Android 7.0 soon. And again, as I said, this is actually a pretty fairly new phone, as it had been announced and released in January of this year. And also, something I just completely forgot to talk about is this phone actually has a fingerprint sensor on the back. And, like, honestly, I've seen phones that have fingerprint sensors at pretty cheap price. Stuff like, the Moto G4 Plus, which is actually around $180, I think. Maybe even more, I'm not sure. I'm just guessing out here. But, still, this phone, in some cases, is actually cheaper. And, wow! The fingerprint sensor on this, for the price, like, of course, I'm surprised it even has one. And to be honest, it doesn't have one. It's fast and it's accurate, gets my fingerprint every single time. Seriously. Overall, considering the price, this phone would get like a 9 out of 10 for me. Honestly, Xiaomi is one of the few brands which I kept ignoring until I bought one of these phones. And I have to say, it's great, it's amazing, it's just, a lot of people have said to me, it's like good value. Yeah, obviously you can tell I'm at the end of the review, can't you? So, a lot of people have said that this is just good value, but I never looked at Xiaomi like that. But I have to say, if Xiaomi tries hard and maybe gets rid of all the Chinese UI, they might just try, like, somehow one day be able to become like a major smartphone manufacturer. They're not the best right now, but they are pretty good. In the US, there's quite a bit of, what I would say, like, chaos, kind of, I guess, going on regarding the Mi Mix, which is freaking beautiful. If you guys don't know about that, you should definitely go ahead and look at one. Look at the phone. It's really beautiful. So, as I said, I'm going to talk about the price at the end of the video. And technically speaking, this talking is definitely not going to help you guys. You better look at the description. So, the 16GB version with 2GB of RAM is available for £129 and $160. The 32GB version with 3GB of RAM is available for £150 and $180. The 64GB version with 3GB of RAM is available for £170 and $200. And if you want to go full on crazy and get the 64GB version with 4GB of RAM, it's available for £190 and $230. And as I said, for your convenience and, so that you can get all this crap I said out of your mind, I'm going to list all these prices for all these configurations down in the description below. And just, I like to be helpful to people. And one more thing, don't, beat me up, but these prices, I don't know about this, because I checked out me.com, and as I said, this phone is fairly new. For some reason, the latest Redmi Note phone they have is the Redmi Note 3. They don't have the Redmi Note 4 on their site. Because if they had, then I would have been able to give you guys the official pricing. Because these prices I just said, I actually had to gather off eBay by looking at multiple listings and putting up a reasonable price. But it's still, I promise you, it's going to be around the price I just said. They're pretty good pricing. So, thanks for watching. And if you guys have any queries, questions, or suggestions, be sure to leave them in the comments. You guys probably will have questions because, this is like a lot of people don't know about these phones from Xiaomi, but these are really good. And, as always, like this video if you liked it. And if you loved this video and would like to see more of these, be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you people later for sure. Peace and, stay healthy. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.